An unconventional summer began the moment the house fell quiet, the kind of quiet that presses on your ears and makes you suddenly aware of your own breathing. Summer vacation had finally arrived, and with it a strange freedom I wasn't sure I knew how to handle. My mother, Sarah, had just returned from a brief visit to her sister, only to leave again almost immediately to meet an old friend for the afternoon. My father had departed the week before on a 2-month business trip, leaving me, Jake, 18, freshly done with my first year at university alone. The house suddenly felt too large, too empty, and too full of temptation in the abstract sense of the word. The temptation not of doing something wrong, but of doing nothing at all. Of drifting through hours without structure, responsibility, or an audience. As soon as my mother's car disappeared down the street, I locked the front door more out of habit than fear. I dropped my backpack in my room and surrendered to that lazy, unfocused state that comes when you believe no one is watching. Filling the afternoon with music in my ears, endless scrolling, half-finished thoughts, and mindless distractions. Time slipped by so quietly that I didn't notice how late it had grown until the spell shattered in an instant. My bedroom door opened and my mother's voice, sharp with shock and concern rather than anger, cut through the air and froze me in place. She had returned far earlier than expected and caught me in a moment of private carelessness. Not anything illegal or unspeakable, just the undignified sprawl of an 18-year-old who thought he was alone. Room a mess, headphones on, tabs open he would rather not explain. And the suddenness of her presence sent a bolt of embarrassment through me. I felt physically pinned to the chair, my face burning as she stepped back out just as quickly, murmuring my name. For several minutes I sat there staring at the wall, heart pounding, replaying the moment again and again, wondering how something so ordinary could feel so catastrophic. When I finally found the courage to leave my room, I found her in the living room, sitting very straight, hands folded around a mug of tea she hadn't touched, her eyes tired rather than angry. I apologized in a rush, tripping over my words, promising I hadn't meant to disrespect her or the house or her trust. She listened without interrupting before nodding slowly and saying, quietly, that she hadn't meant to intrude. Perhaps the shock had startled her as much as it had embarrassed me, and that was all she said, retreating to the kitchen. An awkward silence settled over the evening like humidity, thick and uncomfortable. Neither of us quite knowing how to move around the other. Dinner eaten with polite murmurs and careful avoidance of eye contact. I escaped back to my room, feeling as though I had aged several years in a single afternoon. The next day I expected tension to linger, but instead something subtler emerged, a cautious normalcy. My mother would glance at me as if reassessing who I was, no longer just the boy she had raised. After breakfast, she surprised me by asking if we could talk, not in the heavy way those words sometimes land, but gently, explaining that growing up meant private moments and learning boundaries. She didn't want me to feel ashamed for existing or for navigating adulthood imperfectly. Hearing that eased something knotted tight inside my chest, because shame thrives in silence. Her willingness to acknowledge discomfort without turning it into condemnation felt like a bridge being built. Over the following days, we established unspoken rules, learning each other's rhythms again. I became more mindful of shared spaces. She knocked more often. Occasionally, she would check in with a casual question about my classes or my plans for the fall. She was trying to understand the version of me that existed beyond her memory. One evening, she admitted that having the house to ourselves had made her reflective, reminding her how quickly time had passed and how easily parents can miss the moment their children stop needing protection. I confessed that being home felt strange too, like wearing clothes that used to fit perfectly but now pulled tight. That conversation, quiet and honest, shifted something fundamental between us, replacing embarrassment with mutual recognition. Later that week, she surprised me again with a small, practical gift: new earphones, explaining with a half smile that everyone deserved their own space sometimes, and that good sound made solitude feel intentional. The simplicity of that gesture acknowledged boundaries without dramatizing them. It said she trusted me to manage my own world while still caring enough to make it comfortable. As the days passed, we settled into a rhythm that felt almost like friendship, layered carefully over family, sharing meals, watching shows in the evenings, occasionally laughing about how strange it felt to have the house so quiet. Once, she spoke candidly about her own youth, about mistakes made in confusion and silence. She wished someone had told her earlier that growing up wasn't about suppressing who you were. I listened, realizing that adulthood wasn't a clean line you crossed, but a negotiation you revisited over and over. When my father's return finally approached, the atmosphere shifted again, not with dread, but with acceptance. My mother reminded me gently that routines would change back, that the newfound understanding didn't need secrecy to exist. The night before he came home, she sat on the edge of my bed and told me she was proud of me. She was proud of how I was learning to take responsibility for myself, in awareness and respect. When she kissed my forehead, I understood that what had made the summer unconventional was transition. The messy middle space between childhood and independence, where mistakes become lessons. When my father walked through the door the next day, life resumed its old patterns on the surface. Yet beneath them, something enduring remained, a quieter bond shaped by honesty and restraint. I would look back on that summer as the moment I learned that growing up isn't defined by freedom alone, but by the grace with which the people around you help you learn its limits.